It's my third video in a week. I've got so much to catch up on. So many ridiculous narratives to guffaw at. Yes, it's Ebird Online and I'm back with another video. So guys, you have one of my subscribers called Synchronicity to thank for this video. I was just busy minding Kim and Sojaboy's business when I came across Synchronicity's post. She felt extremely strongly about Ben and Mahogany. Specifically Ben, but then I guess that's because Mahogany doesn't exist. Yes, it's 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 Days latest relationship, and I would say the Ebird's going to pick the relationship apart, but I've got a feeling it will all fall apart before I get round to it. When Ben divorced his wife of 20 years, he was told, don't worry, there's plenty more fish in the sea. If only then he knew they were all catfish. Yes, Ben and Mahogany, who knows if she's real or an internet construct. But what I want to focus on in this video is the effect that their relationship has on his own children, and also, what's the exact nature of the role of God in Ben's romantic entanglements. The way Ben tells it, God has stopped focusing on the global pandemic and cleverly switched his focus to Ben and Mahogany, his latest fantasy squeeze. No wonder things are going as they are. But just before we begin, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit it, smash it, caress it, press it. Subscribe, my friends, subscribe. And a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed yesterday. I had one of my best days for subscribers in many months, so thank you for that. And also, as usual, please don't forget to smash the like button if you enjoy the video. It helps my algorithm. Right, so without further ado, I give you Ben and Mahogany. So Ben is 52 and he's from Michigan. He tells us that he's an optimistic hard worker and he loves to take care of his body. Optimistic's about right. Some might say over-optimistic. Is his glass half empty or half full? Neither. He drank that water years ago and is now busy pissing it out all over his wife. Ben also lets us know that he loves to take care of his body. And in case anybody doubted his commitment at all, he's taken a vow before God to only wear a vest or a very, very tight t-shirt, just so we can all see just how well he takes care of his body. Anything else? Yep, he was brought up in a cult. He tells us when he was growing up, he had no friends outside of the church, and he lived a very fearful life, in which they weren't allowed to watch movies or TV. Guys, I'm going to stick my neck out here a bit and say it's just as well this cult doesn't watch TV, because you can guarantee none of his former colleagues or cult members want to see the shit he's about to unleash on 90 Day Fiancé viewers. Ben decided to marry someone from the church and he became a pastor of the church, and he also had 4 children. But then alas, 7 years ago, Ben and his wife decided to leave the cult to try and save the marriage, and they lived outside of the cult. But after 24 years of marriage and 4 kids, Ben finally filed for divorce, and he blamed the breakdown of the marriage on 24 years of neglect. Interesting. Ben said he then joined 4 different dating sites and decided to try his hand at fitness modelling. As he speaks to us, he's busy polishing a motorbike. But Ben wants the world to know one thing. What is it, Ben? He used to be a pastor, so this is likely to be quite a prophetic statement. He wants the world to know that he's not having a midlife crisis. Oh, Ben, yes you are. Yes, you definitely are. But I was slightly wrong. It's a pathetic statement. He's got more evidence for the fact that he's not having a midlife crisis. And that's his girlfriend. Her name's Mahogany. She's 24 years of age and she lives in Peru. He's never spoken to her. They just DM each other. They met on Instagram. Guys, whatever you do, don't forget he's not having a midlife crisis. And he let us know that one day he went online and discovered that Mahogany was one of his friends. Oh Ben, she wasn't your friend then and she isn't your friend now. He tells us he waved at her and the rest is history. They've now been dating for 115 days. Ben, are you a 13-year-old girl from Minnesota? Because that's exactly who you sound like. We've been dating for 115 days. Good Lord, I feel sorry for your kids. He shows us a picture of Mahogany, and she's an absolute stunner. Guys, I'm just wondering, is Mahogany actually a real name in Peru? I'm wondering. I'm going to see if I can find out. Wah, 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 wah. Guys, I've been thwarted. Apparently it's a relatively popular name of Spanish origin. It means dark, rich and strong. Dark, rich and strong. Interesting. Yep, so allegedly, Mahogany's beauty is matched only by her wisdom and maturity. Guys, this is one of my pet peeves with middle-aged or older guys who get together with very young girls. The one main thing they're always trying to say is, she's so mature. You wouldn't believe how mature she is. She behaves older than I do. I'm really young at heart and she's really mature. It doesn't matter how many times you say it, it's still freaking weird. There's a 28-year age gap. You will likely have very little in common. Just saying. And when Ben told Mahogany that he didn't want to have sex before marriage, she was in complete agreement with him. Nor did she. In fact, she can go one further. She doesn't want to have sex with him ever. Oh, Lord. And one night, Mahogany said, or DM'd, should I say, Ben, you deserve to be loved. And he said, oh my God, that just hit a chord with me. He said his whole life, he's never felt like he deserved to have love. She's hit a nerve that no one else ever has. Ben, can I remind you that you were married for 24 years and you have 4 kids? They're not in the cult anymore. They're more than likely watching. Watch what you say. And he lets us know he's going to Peru to meet her for the very first time. And he says when he sees her, he believes he's going to be looking at his future wife. There he is. And the next time we see Ben, he's meeting with his friends Charlie and Jessica for lunch. They sit down and order, and he tells them he's counting calories. It's getting worse. He's been DMing her for 115 days now, and is counting calories. Guys, he is. He's a tween in disguise. And then he tells his friends about Mahogany, her location, and her age. And Jessica says to production that he's so desperate to find love that he believes anything. And his friends sit round and look at him as if he's got 3 heads. They decide to ask questions. Have you ever spoken to her on the phone? He said, yeah, twice, but not for very long. Most of the time we just DM each other. It's easier that way. We've spent hours and hours DMing. And they said, have you ever video chatted with her? And he said, no, she won't video chat. She's very shy. Yeah, she looks kind of shy, I suppose. And he said, but I did insist that she send me a video. And then he played a video. Guys, it was a generic video of Mahogany saying, hi, how are you? I love you. See you soon. Can't wait to meet you. And as soon as Jessica saw it, she said, Ben, that's a little bit sketchy. But Charlie, it would seem, has more important matters on his mind. And he said, has she asked you to give her money? And Ben said, no, don't be ridiculous. She's just merely asked for a loan. Guys, he's loaned her $1,000. But it seems like the guys are barking up the right tree because Ben tells production that he has been catfished before. And he said he thought he was talking to a gorgeous woman and it turned out to be a man from Africa. It often is. And by the look on his friend's face, you can pretty much see they've all tested negative for sympathy. They tell him it's all bullshit. But Ben tells them he's in love. God has given him the opportunity of love and has guided them together. Again, I'd like to interject. God, if you've got a moment or two, can you have a little look at the starving people in Afghanistan? They need your help. I think Ben will be just fine on his own. Ben, God doesn't have time to look after you and to fix you up with hot girls off the internet. And the final time that we see Ben for this week, he's preparing food for his ex-wife and kids are coming over. And before his kids come over, he expressly states, if my kids don't accept this, then I don't know what I'm going to do. Remember that. If my kids don't accept this, then I don't know what I'm going to do. And we're shown a picture of his ex-wife and 4 kids. And I can't help but notice that one of them has her face blanked out. She doesn't want nothing to do with this. Of course she doesn't. He's an embarrassment. He tells us that he's destroyed their chance of having a traditional nuclear family. And then he also lets us know that the relationship with his ex-wife is cold and she's very resentful. She blames him for the divorce. Ben, that's probably because it was your fault. No, who knows? I know people get divorced for all sorts of reasons. But what's the betting? She hasn't liked any of the shenanigans that you've gone on with since you've been divorced. I bet she doesn't. So his ex-wife and the kids turn up, and true to form, she's wearing her resentful look. They sit down and eat hot dogs. Mid-meal, he tells them about the fragrant mahogany. His kids have quite a few questions. The first one was, does she speak English? And Ben said, well, she speaks better English than I speak Spanish. Ben, that means nothing. We heard you learning Spanish earlier. You know nada. And his ex and the kids all eye roll simultaneously when he tells them that she's 24 and that they're very connected spiritually. And guys, I've got to say at this point, I was quite taken aback with how semi-disrespectful his kids were to him. It's almost as if they treated him as one of their peers. The 13-year-old from Minnesota. And then he tells them that he's going to Peru for 3 weeks to discover who she is in person. I can tell you that, not who she is on screen, but I digress. And he said my decisions are based in what I think God's plan is for me. And his wife virtually cut him off and said, well, this is not the first time now, is it? And Ben very sheepishly lets producers know that he got engaged before, and that was 1 year after his divorce. But his new fiancé refused to let him spend time with his kids, and that's why they split up. He said he'd never do that again. Never do what again? Oh right, so you went along with it for a little while before you decided to pull out. A picture's beginning to build here. He seems very egocentric and selfish. And then his daughter asked, are you going to live in Peru? Because I didn't want that. And he said no, the plan is that she's coming here. And Ben said, I've told her all about you. She knows all of you, and she loves all of you without even meeting you. And she prays for you every day. Mahogany, if you are doing that, can you please also pray for Ben? He really, really needs it. And the kids said nothing to this, except, where did you meet her? And he said social media. And Ben gets a picture of her on his phone, and he shows his son. His son didn't say anything. Then he showed his daughter, and she immediately said, that is so fake. It's the most fake picture I've ever seen in my life. It's not genuine. Oh, daughter number 2, be quiet. Ben's got an answer for you. Maybe she's just got a really good camera, a professional camera. Oh, Lord. And the producers, in their infinite wisdom, have lined the kids up in the back garden to ask what they think of their dad's new plans. And they all pretty much think he's foolish. But his youngest daughter says he's always getting disconnected with us when he's in a relationship. That's why she's not very happy. And so much for if my kids don't accept this, I don't know what I'm going to do. It would seem nothing. You're still going over to see Mahogany in Peru. But then things took a very sinister turn when Ben said, I want to model what you kids would want to see in a relationship. So you think you can show them ideally what a relationship looks like with a 30-year age gap? Ben, have you lost your mind? Did you ever have one? No wonder your ex-wife looks as bitter as all hell. Not only do you start the conversation by saying, I'm in love with a girl called Mahogany, but you seem to be taking little shots at the marriage that you and she had. Don't bother. Even if you think it, you don't need to say it. And even if you say it, you don't need to say it in front of her. And even if you say it in front of her, you don't need to do it on international TV. What's wrong with you? I was about to say who raised you, but I guess this cult. But oh dear, Ben senses he's losing the room. You never had it. But he said, this is what God wants. And I wouldn't make this trip if I didn't know for sure this is the path that God wants me to take. And then his ex-wife came up with an absolute humdinger. Ben, when did you start caring about God? Because he wasn't leading you in the last relationships you've had. The camera pans round all of his children, and they're all giving him one piece of cut-eye. Finally, Ben says to production, I've let my kids down in the past, but I won't do it again. I want to prove to them that the love that I have for Mahogany is real. And that's where we end things for this week. Wow, guys, I've got so much to say. Ben, if you're listening, it's about time that you logged off now. Thank you. So I think the first thing that I've got to say is that Mahogany is very unlikely to be real. All of the pictures seem so generic. There's none of her with her family or friends or whatever. And I guess when you're running a scam, you kind of don't want to get your family and friends caught up in it. But that's by the by. My main issue with Ben is his level of selfishness and his use of God to underscore his selfish choices. Now Ben's quite a decent looking guy for his age, and he's got a great body, and he obviously likes young hot girls. I guess who doesn't? And so instead of just owning that, he has to say, it's God's plan for me, and she's very religious as well, and she prays for all of you kids, and God is leading me. God wants us to be together. If God was so invested in you getting to know Mahogany, God would have had Mahogany born in, I don't know, Detroit or somewhere. Not bloody Peru. God would have also ensured that Mahogany was born about 30 years before she actually was. For some reason, I think he believes that if he says, this is God's will, nobody will then question it, or him. You may be used to seeing ridiculous things happen and then being told, it's God's will, and taking it all in. We're not. But he really does think everyone's sipping his Kool-Aid. And the next thing that irritates me is, nothing's ever his fault. So he was catfished by an African. But instead of thinking, maybe I should have asked for more evidence and I'll remember to do that in the future. He said, because I was in the church for so many years, I had a lack of street smarts when it came to dating. Now the Ebird's quite reasonable, and I'm prepared to accept that that is potentially true. However, usually people who are intelligent learn from their previous mistakes. So when you were catfished before, you didn't have video chats with the person, did you? No. And you're not having video chats with this person because allegedly she's so shy. So you're not learning, are you, Ben? You're not evolving. You're making the same mistakes again and again. But none of it's your fault. Another problem I have with Ben is he's such a cliche. He's obsessed with his weight, his motorbike, his modelling. He counts calories and he DMs girls and uses emojis. But God forbid, don't let anybody claim that he's in the grip of a midlife crisis. Because he's not okay, he's just not. God wanted to see his abs, God wanted him to be thin, God wanted him to have his motorbike, and God wanted him to be a model, okay? The next problem I have is his level of disrespect for both his kids and his ex-wife. So he suggests his marriage was an awful prison. And whilst that may well have been the case, there's no need to say it. And earlier he blamed the breakdown of his marriage on 28 years of neglect. Neglect by who? By you? By your wife? How? By who? Please elucidate. But he won't, he's busy sermonising. And of course he admitted that he didn't see his kids properly when he was with his previous fiancée, and he now regrets that course of action. But as I said earlier, he's quite a selfish chap, and he's too selfish to just try and get a mother figure for his kids, or at least someone that speaks English so they can speak to the person and develop some sort of relationship if he's going to be with them. Jessica, one of his friends, said earlier that he's really desperate to find love. And I've got a feeling Ben thinks love is something of a rom-com movie where everything's perfect. Your partner's really young and pretty, and you're unencumbered by any irritations, such as kids. Honestly, I think Ben lives in a fantasy land. But one thing's for sure, he has to start considering his family with the moves that he makes, and stop being so selfish, and also stop blaming everything on God. It's about time you took responsibility for your own actions, Ben. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Ben's foisting all responsibility onto some other being? And do you think, like I do, I've got an inkling of a thought that he was more than likely cheating when he was in his marriage, and that's why his wife is as bitter as all hell? And even if Mahogany does exist, do you guys think Mahogany can move to America and create a meaningful relationship with his 4 kids? So let me know in comments down below, and I'm going to get on with my next video. And guys, I'm not sure who I want to cover next, either Mike and Ximena or Memphis and Hazma. Let me know in comments down below if you have any strong preference, and I'll try and drop that either tomorrow or Saturday. Guys, please don't forget to like the video if you've enjoyed it. And remember, subscribe to my channel, make Ebird a very happy Ebird. Thank you guys so much for listening. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.